On Thursday, 4th of July, people in the United Kingdom go to the polls to choose which party is going to be ruling over the next 5 years. In this video, I'm going to be speaking to a candidate from one of the smaller parties to find out what they represent and why they're standing and what people can expect should they get into power.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
Hi, it's Crypto Rich, and this is, I don't know even why I call myself Crypto Rich anymore, because I do more politics and current affairs and news and all that sort of stuff than I do on crypto. But never mind, in this video, I'm going to be talking to a candidate for the Workers' Party standing in the constituency of Cambridge. Now, before I introduce him, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Crypto Rich YT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please come and support my work on the censorship-resistant platforms, which is bit.ly Crypto Rich ODYSEE, bit.ly Crypto Rich Rumble, bit.ly Crypto Rich 3Speak, and bit.ly Crypto Rich Podbean. Support me there, and I shall have the link to my Twitter and my Telegram in the description below. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Khalid. Thank you so much for making yourself available. You are a candidate for the Workers' Party of Great Britain. This is the party that's been formed and headed by George Galloway. And many, many years ago, he was a guest on my channel. The deputy leader is Chris Williamson, and he's been on my channel a couple of times. So I'm thrilled to have you on. We're recording this on Sunday, the 30th of June, and people in Cambridge go to the polls on Thursday, the 4th of July. Do you want to start by giving us a very brief introduction about yourself and then why you're a candidate for the Workers' Party?
Sure. Very good morning and wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, as you said, my name is Khalid. I'm oncology consultant by training. I got a Great X award by the NHS. This is the reason why I'm standing for the NHS. I'm fighting for my patients and my colleagues who are struggling. As well, I'm political advisor, interested in geopolitics, as well about the finance, about the Middle East problem, because of the fact my mom coming from Bethlehem, my dad family coming from Gaza, very old tribe. As well, I believe in peace process. I believe in a better future. I believe in stopping wars. This is the reason why I joined the Workers' Party, trying to stop this madness and help my community, not just the Cambridge city, because the best candidate, he should not just be thinking about roads, pollution, which we are very good in this, also about the national problems, about international problems, which we are very good in this. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you. And you told me before you start recording, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, that your family is a mixture of Muslim and Christian and Jewish, and which kind of reflects the state of Britain pretty well as well.
Sure. I will give you this information, which I didn't give it to the media before. I did my family tree DNA, something called Big Y700. It's one of the best DNA tests to find out where you are coming from. The reason why I did it around 2 or 3 years ago is just trying to believe what my mom and dad told us. Because believe it or not, my grandma coming from a city called Al-Lid in Palestine. And who's coming from this city? St. George's mom himself.
St. George's mother. Right.
Exactly. His mom coming from a city in Palestine called Al-Lid. My mom coming from Bethlehem. My dad always used to tell me, Khaled, we are one of the oldest tribe in that region. So I believe what happened in 1948, a major mistake happened, and they killed the Semitic original people, which is my family. We're going down to the DNA, going down to Abraham himself. So we are the kids of Abraham, the father of all religions.
Very good.
So we are the original people there.
Okay. Now, so you are Palestinian, and I just want to mention that by the time this video goes out, in fact, today, Sunday, 30th of June, I'm actually posting a video between Tom Luongo, who's just an extraordinary macro political commentator, and Faisal Huda from Buna Capital, and they're looking at Abrahamic eschatology, so Jewish, Christian, and Islamic eschatology, that perspective to analyze what's going on in the Middle East currently. Now, I don't know much about that, but I just thought I'd plug that video, so people interested, go check that out. One of the things that strikes me about the Workers' Party is they're very, very big on the issue of Israel and the war in Israel and the slaughter that's happening in Palestine. And, you know, as a Muslim myself and as someone who's an anti-war protester for, you know, since I was 18, it's an issue that's important to me. But it does seem to me that the Workers' Party is mostly about the war in Palestine. and stopping that. Is that accurate?
Yes, because the Workers' Party, mainly George Galloway, when he created the party, he had deeper understanding of the situation. He met people from that region. Then he managed to find that the original people, the original Jewish, the original Christian, the original Muslim, they are basically a family, like my family. We're divided between all the three religions, you see. And the only way is to stop the war and make peace for all of them. And I tried this, to be honest, many times over many years, because I'm running a company for politics. My target was to create a state for all of us to live peacefully and to live in harmony and in real one nation. But I failed because there is a group of Israeli Zionists. They don't want that. There is a group as well from the other side. They don't want that. And this is where we failed, is to put both of them in the same table. It's a very deep problem. There's people got benefit from wars. There's factories creating weapons to kill, and they have benefit. If you stop the war, where they are going to sell their weapon? You see, if you're going to stop the war, how they are going to be rich and richer? You see,
Yes.
or more. Yeah, it's very, very, very. There's more deep state business as well going on. Same what Liz Truss, when she mentioned the deep state. This is true. There's a deep state, and they are creating wars here and there. And who's the loser? We are the loser here.
Yeah, ordinary people. You and I, and you have nothing to gain from war. However, who profits from war are the banks, the banksters, and those that they back both sides. And looking at the, doing a financial economic analysis and digging into the economics of war, it's a massive, massive money laundering operation where money is shifted from the poor into the pockets of the military industrial complex and those that profit from that. And that applies to the war in Israel, but also the war in Ukraine currently, which is why it keeps going on and nobody's standing for peace. But when I asked you, this is a major issue for the Workers' Party, you're standing as a parliamentary candidate for Cambridge. So why should somebody in Cambridge, vote for an MP based on a situation that's happening in another part of the world? What about local issues and national issues?
Sure, this is a very good question. As I said, when I decided to stand for Cambridge, I stand because of the chaos happening inside the city, to be honest. This is what encouraged me as well. After 20 or 23 years working as a doctor, my patients suffering. I can see my patients feeling more unwell, with more stage 3 and 4 coming to us because they cannot see their own GPs, you see. So the investigation getting longer, to see the medical professional or doctor longer. The nursing team struggling financially. The junior doctors keep striking and they have financial problems. The consultants as well struggling financially. So I decided first to stand for them. But when I look deeper to the city, here Cambridge, this historical, beautiful city, is destroyed from inside nowadays. There's a pollution problem. We're facing Ham River full of sewage. Imagine the E. coli level in that river more than anywhere else in the country. Number two, the roads completely destroyed with holes here, destroyed. There's no lines, people suffering. The council tax is higher. The cost of living is higher. I can see it. Every day talking to the people, through my patients, to the community, my neighbors, and I can see the struggle. The students, with the Workers' Party, you see, we are asking for free transport for the students, free meals for the students. We got 4.3 million children in poverty. Where? In Gaza? No. Here in UK, 4.3 million children in poverty. We have housing issues. And guess what? The previous or the MB at the moment, I asked him a few times to resign because I used to be Labour Party. I used to do leafleting with them. I got pictures with Daniel, the MB here. And he failed with the genocide. He always voted for more war. Number one. Number two, he left us after 9 years as an MP with more problems. No one looking after our churches here. They are destroyed. Our historical city destroyed, became full of homeless people. And they're selling more lands to new people. Very, very rich people, not from the country, to come and take these new houses. They are planning for another 15 or 150,000 in new house. Where? In Cambridge. But we don't know where to throw our sewage except to the river. And this is disaster. We don't have enough water. There's a water supply. So for me, the best candidate is a candidate who knows about national, international problems, local issues. He's trying his best to help because he is from the NHS He's from the community. He's British citizen. He knows what's going on here. Guess what? One of the candidates, even he's not from Cambridge. Why he's coming here? The Conservative candidate. He's coming from another city. Another candidate, she's the councillor, and for years she failed to talk about these things. And suddenly, the councillor for Castle, she's coming and talking about the city. We don't have phone signal, imagine, in my area. For how many years? And this is the Silicon Valley of Europe, Cambridge. This is the reason why I decided to stand to support the city and the people.
So how does the Workers' Party propose to remedy all these issues? What are you going to do for the NHS and the roads and all that?
Exactly. Number one, I'm fighting for a bigger hospital or A&E. Number one, the A&E what we have here in Cambridge, this huge city, this is one of the biggest, second biggest busy city, is the A&E small as in Harlow Town or Ashford. And this is unbelievable. So the A&E is not for the community. It's for a small town, like good for 20 years ago, not for now. Number two, we need to help and support the doctors and the teachers. Last year alone in UK, 40,000 teachers resigned. When they resign, they go abroad. So we need to help them. Cambridge is the second most expensive city in UK. So I'm the one who's asking to introduce Cambridge allowance similar to London allowance. Now, our original community moving outside the city, moving away, going abroad for less tax, going outside the city and selling their houses here because it's more expensive, and the transport issues. So I'm asking for Cambridge allowance, number one. Number two, for the NHS, I'm trying my best to increase the doctor's salary and reduce their tax, because if we don't do this, this is a health security and we are facing danger. At least every year, 1,000 doctors leaving the country, going to Dubai, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, New Zealand, Australia. Why? Because less tax, higher salaries.
And better weather, more sunshine.
Thank you very much. I'm born in Dubai, so I encourage them to go and survive. Yes. And that's why I'm standing with them, because I need to keep them here by reducing their tax. It's very expensive to be a doctor. I was struggling for 23 years.
Okay, but one of the things that strikes me is that and it's not just the Workers' Party, but all the parties are saying we're going to spend more on the NHS, we're going to spend more on the NHS. And then you're talking about lower taxes for doctors, perhaps lower taxes generally. Where will you get the money to fund all this?
We got money, but we have, number one, mismanagements. Imagine 60 billion pound a year going where? To the NATO. Why we don't bring this money and fund our army, our own army here, our own security, our own police, our own NHS, our own people, feed our kids? There's 4.3 million children in poverty, housing issues, reduce the tax a little bit, at least for the next 5 years till we go through this disaster. We are facing really a serious problem in the country. The inflation, the cost of living. So 60 billion, we can bring it back and tell the NATO, we're sorry, we have our own army, our own people struggling. We are going to face riots very soon. So we have to stand.
So this is one of the reasons. Let me make sure I've understood you correctly, Doctor. What you're saying, Doctor, as a doctor, you're saying we should not be sending our money for the killing of people abroad. We should use that money in the UK to take care of our own. And that would be a far more productive way of using that money.
Sure.
Interesting.
This is number one. This is one source, 60 billion going just to the NATO. Imagine in 1 year. Number two, there is extra billions. We don't know how much, because they don't tell us exactly the numbers, going to support Israel. And there where the real genocides happening. We are supporting them by intelligence, supporting them by army, by more visits, costing us billions of pounds. And this is from the taxpayer, which I'm against this completely. We have to be fair here and stop the war.
Okay, well, Dr. Khalid, I want to mention something to you. And I've done lots of videos on this. And the International Criminal Court Act 2001 and the Terrorism Act 2000 ratified the international conventions against genocide and terrorism and certain aspects of the UN Charter that make it a criminal offence for people in Britain to pay tax, any form of revenue towards government, because those laws make it clear that it is illegal to fund any agency, directly or indirectly, that engages in terrorism or genocide. And Britain's actions in Ukraine, in Yemen, in Lebanon now as well, which I'll mention, and in Israel, are violations of those statutes. And those statutes also make it clear that the British government and its agencies are not exempt from its provisions. So by I am funding the murder of people in Yemen or the murder of people in Ukraine, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian, or the murder of people in Israel and Palestine by paying taxes, license fees, council tax, according to those statutes. And I've done a whole series of videos about that. And perhaps you and I can have a separate conversation about this, because taxes were started up to fund war, and tax protest has a noble tradition as a peaceful legal form of protest. So I just wanted to say that, right? Now, just about Lebanon, there was an article in Zero Hedge yesterday how the UK government is sending military aid to groups within Lebanon in order to stir up internal conflict within Lebanon. And I know Lebanon had a disastrous civil war in the 70s. It's been at peace apart from Israel attacking it every now and then, which they're doing currently. So this is what this is what our tax money goes towards, stirring conflict abroad. Now, one of the things you said, I looked on the Workers' Party's website. It says one of the things the Workers' Party stands for is for breaking diplomatic relations with Israel. Is that correct?
See, number one, about Israel, I'm asking some sanction against Israel.
Right.
Because do you remember when the Russian war started with Ukraine, immediately we started the sanction. Even lots of millionaires here in the UK who had connection with the Russian government, they had to run away. And we managed it's difficult to say we managed to hold their money, because we misused them, because we took this money away from the owners that saying, oh, they used to deal, or they have connections with Putin. Now, what about Israel? Israel since 1948, we can witness, we can see, we have enough evidence they are committing genocide, ethnic cleansing against our people. And we don't do anything. Not just this, we don't do anything. No sanction. Also, we funded them from our tax money. This is a crime. This is a crime. This is the reason why I'm standing. But this is one of the main reasons why I'm standing, to stop this, investigate who's behind this, and where is this people getting money from pro-Israel lobbies. Imagine I will get money from Russia to support my campaign, or from a pro-Russia campaign. It will be a disaster. Imagine I will get money to my campaign from pro-China lobby. It will be a disaster. My name will be everywhere. Thank God I don't. But we are witnessing now a crime against our politics. The Labour Party, supported by pro-Israel criminals, a criminal government, and conservative receiving money as well from pro-terrorist Israel government. We need to investigate these. What is their connection with Israel? Also, there's candidates standing here. They used to serve in the Israeli army. We should investigate. You see, Rich, I was honest with you. I told you at the start, I'm not just British. I'm Slovakian also. I hold Slovakian citizenship. I told everybody about it, because this is your right to know who you're dealing with, what his background. I born in Dubai, I got this, my family here, my family there, this is my DNA. I was honest with you, and this is all about life, honesty. Imagine we have candidates, they used to serve in the Israeli army, they have bank account in Israel, they have house in Israel, and they are standing as MB or candidates for the coming election.
Right.
We need your right to know why he's voting for Israel, because he is Israeli. Why he's voting for to fight Palestinian, because he is Israeli. He's part of the problem. So we can't put him as a part of the solution. You can't choose him. So we need to expose them and sanction them.
No, I completely get it. If there was an MP being funded by Russia or China or North Korea or Iran, it would be all over. But I think the difference is, and we should do a separate conversation about politics and economics and finance and stuff, right? That would be great, perhaps after the election. But the difference is that Israel, with the Balfour Declaration set up in 1917, serves as a colonial outpost for British imperial hegemony, a whipping boy to keep those peoples in those oil-rich regions in check, so they never unite or divide and rule. The way that British Empire broke up their territories. So there was, like in Northern Ireland, there's always this little rump that can cause trouble, or the way they created East and West Pakistan. That's a whole other conversation. Okay, now what's the Workers' Party? What's your position, the Workers' Party's position on the war in Ukraine?
Very good question. Now we have to stop the war. The previous governments here failed completely in two subjects. I always tell the people, negotiation, conflict resolution. We have the biggest university here, University of Cambridge. They are teaching conflict resolution subject and negotiation. Me as consultant, I'm very good in these two.
Right.
This is why we have to negotiate with Putin. And we have to be the conflict resolution country or government. There is a big war. 30% of the Ukrainian people, they don't want to be with Ukraine. They would like to be with Russia. So we have to give them the choice to ask them, where would you like to be? This is one of the problems. So 30%, even Zelensky, his mother tongue is Russian, not Ukrainian.
Yeah.
So there's 30%, they don't want to be from Ukraine. Number two, we created the war there. I call it sustainable war. If you go back a little bit, we had problem. People here, they were anti-monarch. As well, Europe that time before the war was shaking. All the people angry. They have cost of living problems. They don't have enough money to pay their electricity, gas, life expensive, high tax. So we were about to face disaster in Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal. So to create a war was a way how to stabilize and control people.
Yes.
Right. So this is one of the theories what we have. So what we have to do, we reached the stabilization. Enough people died. We have to stop the war and start negotiation, start conflict resolution, because we don't have enough money or power to feed the war. So let's go back one step back. As well, one of the reasons why they created this war, I call it sustainable war, is to throw the old weapon. Germany had more than 15,000 old tanks since the Second World War. And here as well, we had all enough expired weapon. We need to get rid of them. Where to get rid of them? We can't store them longer. So we had to throw them first to the Ukrainian people. Oh, it's a donation. It wasn't a real donation. It was just we were trying to throw our old storage of expired weapon. This is a very true story. Number three, we have to stop the war. Tell Putin, let's sit down, let's talk, let's negotiate. Who's the real loser here? We as British citizens, we are the real loser. We are funding the war and we don't have money. So more tax. And Keir Starmer, he's going to cost us extra £3,000 per year, which we don't have. Our people starving. It's really disaster.
Yes, of course. And the other losers are the Ukrainian people themselves, because Russia is a superpower. You know, I agree. The alternative to negotiation is prolonged war with the risk of nuclear conflict. The West hasn't got a great track record, you know, that we failed to defeat Iraq. Well, the US failed to defeat Iraq or Afghanistan, and the mess that they made in Syria and Libya. I mean, Yemen, the US and the UK navies can't do anything to
Somalia. Look to Somalia, what happened?
Yes.
Disaster. So
absolute disaster.
Who funded this? We funded all this madness.
Yes, yeah, and who suffers are the ordinary people in Ukraine who are just mere pawns in this game, which is designed to enrich the military-industrial complex and the shareholders. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, what about the Workers' Party's relationship with the European Union? What's the policy there?
Now, I believe there's a point that Brexit happened, and we have to carry on. Me, as British and Slovakian citizen, I believe in two things. You see, I believe, okay, we can carry on with Brexit, but we should have individual agreements with each country. You see, I should have better agreement with our French colleague here or French neighbors. You see, France is a very important country for me. We need, through France, we have borders. We need milk, we need water, we need meat, we need cheese, we need all of this. We have to have better negotiation and deals with each country. Thousands, if I tell you more than, I don't know the numbers, but I believe at least 200 to 500,000 citizens got houses in Spain or Portugal. They would like to go there, but now they feel that they are second-degree citizens. Okay, you're not second-degree citizen, and this is what is the feeling of European who lives here. We misled them. We told them, "Oh, come, you are part of our country. You are European. We are European." Then we told them, "Oh, thank you, goodbye. You are second-degree citizen. You are not allowed to vote. You're not allowed to work. You are not." We misled them.
Wouldn't it be easier for them Britain to rejoin the EU?
You see, but this is the problem. EU as EU is not a brilliant deal. You see, the problem. I had my own theories about EU many years ago, and I was talking about it. Number one, EU overexpanded, and this is the problem. It's like a balloon, you see, or a bubble. It overexpanded, added extra poor countries. In the same time, they cannot financially manage these extra countries. Like Greece was struggling financially, Romania was struggling financially, Spain was struggling, Italy was struggling, and it was about to collapse. So they overexpanded, and the only three countries was funding the European Union was Germany, France, UK. So UK felt, this is difficult. We can't keep paying bills for corrupted governments in Greece or Italy or here and there. And what is Romania? What they have for us? But they managed to improve by time, but financially we didn't manage to survive. So we had to go. But the wrong negotiation was led by Boris Johnson and his horrible team, I can call it, is the bad deal with the European Union about how much we should pay to leave European Union. We are going to pay horrible money to Europe to leave them. And this is wrong. With negotiation, we can make it less, number one. Number two, have separate deals with each country. We love Poland, for example. It's lovely people, hardworking. They're a really good country. Their economy going up. Germany, good country for us. France, very good country. Italy, we love Italy, and we have a big population from British Italian citizens. Romanian as well. We have to have individual deals with Romania. We have millions of them here. We need them for security, for economy. We need them for as workers here, but outside Europe, not inside Europe.
Okay, fair enough. And I like I told you beforehand, I voted Brexit. I still stand for Brexit. One of the things that the mainstream media don't talk about, they don't cover what's happening in the bond markets in Europe. And Europe is in a terrible, terrible, terrible state. And there's this whole thing about, people say you got to follow the money. Like you pointed to it earlier, where these MPs are being funded by Israel. We got to follow the money. And what the mainstream media is not pointing to is the massive money flows in the background that keep sovereign nations afloat. And Europe is facing a sovereign debt crisis that it has no solution for. And the war in Ukraine and the sanctions against Russia have just worsened the European Union's financial position.
Exactly.
Europe is broke, which is why they want the Britain back in, and they're already doing this. Because they're actually leeching Britain's sovereign wealth in order to keep the euro afloat.
And the European Union, they're not right. For example, they are against Poland. They're not funding Poland enough. And there's a problem between Poland and Germany. Imagine Germany, they are forcing the Polish government to pay every day more than €1 million for some lands between them. There's a big problem. Yes. And this is the reason where we have to leave Europe a little bit till they fix their problems, sort out their financial issues away from us, but we should have deals between us and each country in better way for our citizens. Our people can't have treatment there. They cannot have education. They got houses. They became second-degree citizens. They have to leave it or sell it and lose their money. And this is the problem for us. Yes. And we don't have a place to adopt them here. We don't have enough doctors or nursing team or GP surgeries or even schools to bring them here until they come live with us.
I'll come to that those issues in a second, but I just want to say the European Union is fracturing. I can't, it's not going to sustain. It's not going to last longer than 10 years. And hopefully it'll take much, much quicker. And then people can go back to a more decentralized form of living within Europe. We'll remain Europeans. We just won't be within this undemocratic, anti-democratic superstructure. Now, so we don't have enough houses. We don't have enough school places. I work as a child protection social worker. I see the overcrowding in schools, especially in poorer areas. We have increased homelessness. And part of the problem is, I think, since Tony Blair's government, we've had this massive influx of people from abroad. Now, I wasn't born here. I'm an immigrant. But what we have in the UK and also in Ireland, and I follow what happens in Ireland very closely, and in the European nations, is what looks like open borders. It's just, there's, without borders, there's no country. And can't remember this, something like, I don't know the exact figures, but over 6 million people, perhaps more, have arrived in the UK since Tony Blair's government, and the Tory government have just accelerated that. So what's the Workers' Party's policy on open borders?
See, Workers' Party, they have their own agenda to stop the flood of immigrants. We have to control it. In the same time, we are facing a serious problem here. This is the reason why we need to go back to talk about with France about the borders and how to get illegal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. number one. In the same time, when we have illegal immigrants here, we cannot just throw them or kill them, or no, we have to look after them, because basically, if we go back to the history, what is UK? UK made from immigrants. UK, even through the thousands of years, all European or came down to UK, or from the Holy Land, or from the Lebanon
countries like Pakistan and India. Yeah.
So they have the right. Who reached here, we should look after them now, because take in mind there's a problem we are facing in Europe. We are facing, number one, more older people we got than younger people. Our younger community, there is hundreds, thousands of them every year going abroad. Doctors, nursing team, police, teachers, finance, who's doing with bitcoins. They will not stay here in the country. They will go to Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, New Zealand, Australia, with much better system, more safe system. I will tell you one point. My apologies if I will. 17,500 millionaire from UK left the country since 2017. Last year alone, we lost 8,000 millionaire. Why? They moved away. Because of what? Because of the crimes what we are facing, because of the high tax against them and against their companies. So basically, yes, we are getting immigrants, but we are losing our people. We are losing our community. This is the reason why we have to be fair. So this is the reason why I'm standing with the immigrants myself. I'm standing with them because they reach the country. We need just to educate them in the way, make them fit for the works what we need.
Sure. Yeah. I think, Khalid, that there's some. Of course, we've got to take care of people, but I think there's something to be said for, when an economy is expanding, then you're bringing in people with skills that we need in order to support the expanding economy. Fair enough. That's how come I came. That's how come many people came from the Commonwealth in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But there's something else going on right now where pretty much anybody can come in, and it's mostly men. They're not they're not fleeing famine or war necessarily.
Sure.
Many of them are economic migrants, and they're not being vetted. Now, that sort of porous border is a godsend to women traffickers, drug traffickers, and child traffickers. So that does have to be monitored and vetted. So I don't believe in open borders, because also I think I was in Ireland, and this is my fear of a Labour government. I say to my friends, if you want to see how Britain will be like under Starmer, look at what's happening in Ireland, where now 1 in 3 19 to 39-year-olds, so a third of 19 to 39-year-olds are migrants. And they only arrived in the last 5 years or so. I wouldn't want a situation in Pakistan where 1 in 3 19 to 39-year-olds are people from Europe or India or Africa or South America. I have nothing against those people, but that destroys local culture and tradition and heritage. Open borders didn't work for India. It didn't work for Africa. It didn't work for the people of Americas when the Europeans arrived.
So this is what we call it a demographic war, you see, because basically demographic war, in one point, if you remember, Erdogan, the Turkish president, he told Europe, if they don't change their policies, he's going to flood Europe with immigrants. And this is what happened, to be honest. We created war in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Somalia. The original people will go. Where the original people will go. They have to run away from the war zone and come to us. Of course, there is a minority who is really criminal, will try to find their way here to the country. And here where we have to, when I'm saying bring the money back from the NATO to fund our security indoor, because really we are facing a big crime, not just from the immigrants or illegal immigrants themselves, because lots of them men, they are human in the end, and some of them, they are trying to revenge from us, from UK, from the British. Oh, you are the cause of my pain. Let me revenge from you. And this is horrible. This is why we need to get more education for them, more preparation, how to induction, show them the laws, bring the security, the cameras, CCTV everywhere. So it's a multi way of how to deal with this problem. At the same time, we're not just facing immigrants crimes, we're facing our local crimes here. When I look to the my daughter, she's studying law and she was a criminologist before. And I tell you, when I see the numbers and the people, we face indoor local criminals the other people as well, letting the illegal immigrants coming. There is a huge business here in UK.
Yes.
It's that's why we need to review the system. You need a new politician who knows where is the problem to treat each problem individually and then get a better solution.
Okay. All right. And poverty, mass immigration, it just creates crime because
More
you
crime.
don't have the infrastructure to take care of people adequately, so then people take care of themselves. Understood. Now, let's move on to a few other things. So one of your policies is a referendum for net zero. So tell me, what's the thinking behind that?
See, with the net zero, to be honest, we are facing few problems here. My idea about the energy and the power, we need time to use the green energy. We need more time. And to be honest, myself, I don't think our green energy, the lithium, we're overusing lithium batteries nowadays. This is dangerous to our environment, dangerous to our people. More fire now we are facing, more pollution from the lithium. We cannot recycle the lithium itself, so we need more time to go through to move completely away from the oil and gas. So myself, I got my own way of thinking about the problem. So we need to move to the blue energy, for example, which is the liquid hydrogen. I'm the only candidate talking about the liquid hydrogen,
Right.
because use the liquid hydrogen for our cars, planes, and buses is very good. It's very green. The end cycle of the liquid hydrogen is oxygen and water.
Yes.
You see, and there is no pollution from that. But so why? And this is the reason for me, for Cambridge, I'm asking to move all this horrible oil pollution or the lithium battery pollution to more blue energy type of transport and factories as well. We have very big factories here, and the Emirates Airline already started the liquid hydrogen for some of their airplanes, which is really good. So this is for me, we need to review everything slowly and start the liquid hydrogen or the blue energy, I call it, and this is how we can save our country. At the same time, we don't want to punish our people by forcing them to pay extra for the diesel, extra for the oil, extra for the gas under the name of pollution. We are punishing our own people. In the same time, countries like Philippines or India, they have more pollution than anywhere else. They are causing the pollution, and we are destroying Chile, the country, because we are digging for the lithium over there, South America. So we have to be right. We have to stop the pollution from the other side of the world as well.
Yes.
Not keep punishing our people and increase their cost of living because of the oil. In the same time, the oil company, they are the only one who's getting the money.
Yes, absolutely.
Not
Okay.
anything.
Just on that, and perhaps this is a separate conversation. I'm actually an investor in a company that makes very small scale hydrogen energy units that give energy. It's very portable. You can affix it to install a factory plant or whatever.
You mean equalizers?
Sorry?
Equalizers. There's the device which
I'm not. I forget the name of the company. I've done some videos on it and stuff. And if people want to know more, they can send me a DM on Twitter, and I can connect them to a friend of mine who sold me some shares in that company, and he's selling some shares in that company. And I can let you know. So yes, definitely. Now I understand blue energy. One of the things that I find well, I don't find it curious and puzzling. One of the things I noticed about the Conservative government is they haven't instituted conservative policies. They're not Tory. They're puppets of the World Economic Forum, putting in Agenda 2030 policies, and the Labour will be much, much worse. And the lithium, there isn't enough lithium, affordable lithium, to give for us to use wind power and solar power. And I do, because I started off as a crypto channel, I do Bitcoin, I do gold, I do silver, I have solar panels. There isn't enough affordable silver in the world for Britain alone to increase its solar capacity. And there's no replacement for silver, nothing. So then what we're going to do is end up impoverishing people. And this Agenda 2030, where they want to rewild 20% of Britain's farmland. We rewild 20% of Britain's farmland. Well, what's that going to do to food prices for the poor?
Unrealistic plan. This is the reason why I decided to stand, because I got very realistic way of looking to things. Let's go back to the start. Why we have to punish our people and increase their cost of living? At the same time, I don't want the lithium completely. I'm worried about lithium poisoning and the connection between lithium and cancer. We are destroying South America.
And cobalt, where most of a large chunk of the cobalt is mined by children as young as 3 years old, who are exploited and raped and beaten in order to serve the needs of the urban intelligentsia, who haven't really examined both sides of the argument about climate change, because the opposing side is censored, which will bring us on to the next thing. Now, I've done a couple of videos with some scientists who have been censored and deplatformed, who actually say, well, carbon dioxide isn't the driver for climate change. It's the sun, it's the magnetosphere, it's the cosmic radiation and outer planets and the trade winds and the ocean currents and all of that, right? But they get censored. YouTube deleted one of my videos with one of these scientists, and the mainstream media doesn't present the argument. Like John Clauser, PhD for physics, won the Nobel Prize in 2022, saying, look, it's not carbon dioxide that's the issue. But of course, the Guardian won't tell us that, right? So and without that sort of debate within science, and climate change is more of a religion, don't question it. You know, a bit like don't blaspheme against God if you're a Muslim or a Jew or a Christian. Don't blaspheme against the anti-carbon dioxide agenda. So where does the Workers' Party stand on censorship?
You see, here now, it's a very complex issue, to be honest. As you said, we are trying to protect our Earth from the climate changes in the wrong way. We are causing more pollution. For example, here in Cambridge, our river basically is full of sewage. Yes. Believe it. And who's behind it? The MP, he's the shadow minister of environment for 9 years himself. And he's the one letting the sewage going where? To our Cam River. Sometime you can feel the smell of the sewage, and the E. coli level is the highest. It's horrible. Can you believe it?
I used to swim in rivers. I haven't swum in a swimming pool for years. I used to go swimming in rivers. I don't anymore. I don't anymore.
I tell my patients, you see, because as you know, I'm an oncologist. I used to tell my patients, drink 1.5 to 2 liters of fluid a day. Now, you know what I tell them? I tell them, don't drink it before you boil it. Boil.
Oh. Wow, we have a Berkey water filter to clean it out.
High parasites in the north of the south of the country. We're talking about parasites, and there is a story about brain-eating bugs. You see, or it's horrible.
Yes,
we are really facing a serious pollution here. The climate change, yes, will kill us, will destroy our country.
Well, hold on. So carbon dioxide is not a pollutant, just in case you're saying that, right? Carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis.
Yeah. We need carbon monoxide and dioxide in a level for our body. We cannot absorb 100% oxygen. It will burn us. This is the reason why we need this combination of oxygen and nitrogen. At the same time, too much of it is dangerous. Of the carbon monoxide and dioxide will kill us. This is the reason. But we have to target where it's coming from. It's coming from the majority of this pollution, the air pollution, coming, to be honest, from the other side of the world. It's not from UK, it's not from the factories here and there, because we have our regulation and we have to improve it. It's coming from India, coming from Philippines, coming from the poor countries who's using all this old ways of factories. They don't look or care about the pollution. They sell us very cheap products, and we buy them. So we have to educate them, force them by laws to change their way of polluting our earth, because basically the air is not coming from UK alone. It's coming from...
And I get it. And I just want to draw a distinction between chemical pollution and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is essential for life. It's no carbon dioxide, there's no photosynthesis, and no photosynthesis.
I need it for my body. When I do the blood gas,
absolutely.
I need to check how much CO2 he got, how much nitrogen he got, how much oxygen, how much hydrogen. I need it in my blood gas. If there's no CO2, then my blood, my cells in my body will not function.
So I agree. So it's not a pollutant. I just want to say that, right? Yeah. Then back to censorship. So what is the Workers' Party's position on censorship?
You see, we are against pollution completely. Let's take it like this. We are against anything can cause the climate change, and we have their own agenda here. And but at the same time, we have to be realistic about what we are using to replace the current situation. For example, the lithium, how much
No,
we need.
I understand that. I understand that, Doctor. But what about censorship? Censorship generally, freedom of speech.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
Yes.
In which way? I didn't get you. That freedom of
Okay.
speech.
So you know, there's all these things about hate crimes or whatever that if
Yeah.
you know that if I express an argument that upsets you, that sort of nonsense. That there's a drive towards increasing control and management of speech.
Yes. No, we're standing completely with the people. If they would like to protest, they have the right to protest. This is number one. Number two, there's a way of protesting in the same time. For me, we are against anyone to cause any trouble for the public, for the citizens. Okay, you can strike, you can protest, but don't cause harm that benefits. At the same time, you see, I met someone. They caught him closing the M25. Myself, I used for 4 years doing M25 working at the Royal Marsden Hospital, and I was very clear with him. I used to work 12 hours at the Royal Marsden Hospital, going from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for 4 years to design, to part of my training to be a oncologist. Imagine somebody will stop the way, okay? And what about the patients? They will struggle. The students will struggle. The traveler who is going to their airport will struggle. The community, everything will be more expensive if we block the way. So we should not block any way. To be honest, we should have a very safe place for protesting for in very peaceful way, and so we are standing with people to protest, but choose the time and location.
Okay, so then let me move on to some other subjects. So what about the trans agenda? How many? You're a doctor. You can tell how many sexes are there?
Oh, you see, it's a very difficult question. I was hoping you will not talk about it, to be honest.
I think it's a really easy question.
See, they used to ask me because of my very, very Muslim background from my dad's side, and my mom coming from the Holy Land, Bethlehem. You see, my lady, she's very Catholic, Polish. You see, I used to tell the community, if you are doing anything legal, then this is legal. When you are doing something illegal and against the law, this is illegal. Now, we are facing really this is a very good point. Thank you very much for bringing this. We have a biological sex, male and female, but this is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Rishi Sunak talking about male and female because he's not medically educated, what about the people born with XXY chromosome? You see, I got XY chromosome, my lady, she got XX chromosome. What about the people who got XXY chromosome or XYY?
What's the percentage of the population that have those?
We don't have exactly numbers because we don't have enough people to look after them.
But it's tiny.
It is tiny.
It is
but
tiny.
Still, we have to give them their rights as well.
Sure,
They're
absolutely.
born with abnormal chromosomal mutation, so we cannot tell them, "Oh, you're not human." Excuse me.
No, I get it.
So this is their biological chromosome. So XXY, XYY, for example, there's another type of abnormal mutations happen through the chromosomes. Also, plastic pollution. There's some type of plastic pollution can affect the brain of the children and make them to feel and have different way of thinking than the man or the female because of that abnormal pollution of some types of plastic can change the people way of thinking. It's well known medically.
That's fine. I do accept there is a tiny proportion, just like there's a tiny proportion of people who have an extra chromosome and are Down syndrome.
Or abnormal mutations, you see.
Yeah, absolutely. Tiny, tiny, tiny. However, it does seem to be something, this whole conversation, this whole discourse is alive and real and growing in countries that are being influenced by the World Economic Forum. This is not an issue in Pakistan. It's not an issue in Africa. It's not an issue in South America. It's an issue in the European Union, in the Anglo nations, which have puppet governments installed by the World Economic Forum. That's my take on it, right? And we're the only mammals that question, it's just completely crazy. Completely crazy. Anyway, moving on, right? Let me ask you about the World Economic Forum. So Keir Starmer said in an interview I think by Laura Kinsberg or something. I don't watch the BBC, but I've seen the clips where she asks him, "What's more important to you, Westminster or Davos?" And he responds saying Davos is more important to him, which I think just goes to show where his loyalties lie. But the fact that he's a traitor to the British people because he's saying that Davos, which is this unelected body of oligarchs, that's more important to him than the Houses of Parliament. So where does the Workers' Party stand on in terms of relationships with the World Economic Forum?
Sure. Number one, as George Galloway said, we are British. We are working for the British or the United Kingdom. So I'm here, and George Galloway and the workers, we are working for the country. We have to bring our country back to the top. What we are facing here, we are facing a very junior politicians called Rishi Sunak, called Keir Starmer. They are very junior compared to 30, 40 years politicians what we had. So people thinking I'm very young.
No.
I'm not very young.
Sorry, Khalid, I have to disagree with you about Sunak and Starmer. They're not junior, they're midgets. They're dwarves compared to Galloway and Farage.
Sure. Why they are trying? Why Davis more important for them? Because after they finish their job as prime ministers, what they are going to do? They are going to be advisors for the other countries, like Tony Blair, David Cameron. What they are going to do in their part-time or in retirement time? Advisors for the other rich countries. You see, I know it. We know Tony Blair, what he's doing. We know David Cameron, where he's getting his money. He's advisor for the Chinese, for the Israeli, for the here
Well,
and there.
they're all alumni of the World Economic Forum Global Leaders Program.
Yes, and this is the reason why
Sunak, Blair.
They would like to go there and show and meet more people. You see, I'm here. I can be with you in the future after this 2-3 years of headache in the country working as PM, you see, Prime Minister. So they are trying to secure their future and their kids' future abroad. This is the reason why Rishi Sunak, for example, he got the green card. And this is the reason why Tony Blair, he's not in the country. He's 90% of the time abroad. Where? 5 stars hotel, villas, you see, like, amazing life, private jet. From where? And this is the reason why for them, Davis really more important than Westminster. Westminster is just a way for the real life. And who's the people struggling? Behind them, us.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the Heritage Party have a policy where they won't allow members of the WEF or their members to become allied to the WEF. Does the Workers' Party have any such policy?
See, we have very, very complex and difficult guideline, to be honest, with who we should deal with, who we should not deal. And this is very clear, to be honest, for us. We have to avoid any organization or any body who's supporting wars, who's sponsoring Israel, or any person who's getting funds from Israel or wars here or there. So we are very clear with that, or causing any pollution. So we are here for the workers, for the people, for the community. So we have really very restricted rules with who we should deal with and with who we should not communicate with and deal.
Okay, all right, and then local issues.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the River Cam and how it's polluted. There's also the coachway that's going through an orchard in Cambridge. That's a very historic orchard. What's your position on that as a local MP? They're building a busway or something.
Yeah. See, what happened, if I'm the MP here, I'm going to review all the plans for the city, because what happened, they over-expanded the city and they are destroying our historical areas. They are destroying the green belt around the city. They are dumping our sewage to another village outside Cambridge. So the people, they're really upset. So imagine the size of the sewage farm, I call it, or whatever, is size of Wembley. It's huge area. So the people over there struggling, and they keep striking here. They keep telling us, guys, you have to stop your plan of dumping your sewage to our land, which I agree with them. So I need to review all the plans of over-expanding Cambridge, which is dangerous. We are not ready for it. We don't have enough schools. We don't have enough capacity for our police, for example, or firefighters, or GP surgeries. So we don't have the capacity. Also, we should not destroy our green belts or our historical buildings. I'm against all of this. We are human. We are very smart, but I don't think the previous government.
Okay. And then what sort of reception are you getting on the doorstep?
Resection.
Reception. What you know when you're talking
Oh,
to people?
I see. To be honest, very, very positive. And I have to be honest with you. I got with me now, standing with me, 20 consultants. Take in mind, I wasn't. No one was aware there's somebody called Khaled before Rishi Sunak. I said, "Oh, let's go for the 4th of July." He made his life mistake, to be honest. And so since then, I started to communicate with the people, with the community. So now we have 20 consultants. They are going to vote for us and tell people about us. We have 6 famous professors in politics and geopolitics from the University of Cambridge standing with us. We have an ex-Lib Dem counselor with us. We have an ex-conservative counselor with us. We have a current counselor for the Labour. I will not mention the name. After the election, she's standing with us as well. We have the community, the 4 mosques here in Cambridge. We have all the community, because they can see I met them. We were talking about the same problems. We are talking about the same issues. The patients with us, schools, teachers. I need to stop them from going abroad. I need to bring this Cambridge alumnus and help them. They are moving outside the city, and lots of teachers, they resigned and they left the country even. And this is the reason why the current teachers, doctors, nursing team, community standing with us. It's really lovely. I can feel it. At the same time, they got really serious anger against the Labour and the Conservative. And this is what I call it in politics. I'm going to write a book one day. I will send you a copy. Call it the wave. The wave of what? This is a wave where we have to ride the wave. It's the right timing with the right speed and the right power of people. So we are doing well. At the same time, the other wave going down, the Labour, the Lib Dem, because people, they lost the trust. They would like change. They would like new face. I have 2 famous artists here from Cambridge. They are with us. The community, they have my pictures everywhere in their windows and doors, and it's really lovely. I can feel it, and this gives me power to serve them, to help them, to stand with them, and to do more for them. They deserve the best.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, clearly your heart is in it, just as your heart is in the work that is in your work as an oncologist over 20 years. It is a labor of love. I wish you the best for Thursday, and I do want to say, I want to say this to people and I said this on my channel before, because I do a lot of political coverage, that when Sunak became prime minister, I said he's going to do such a terrible, terrible job that it's going to be that Labour are going to come in with a massive majority, and that's going to be terrible for people, because Starmer's Labour is going to do the WEF Great Reset agenda. Oh, there's one more question I want to ask you. They're going to do that agenda on steroids, because what the Tories have is a rump of about 100 liberty-loving MPs. So when they were talking about the mandates, Khalid, about bringing the mandates for the NHS workers, 100 Tory MPs voted against it. Only 8 opposition MPs voted against it, including Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott. Only 8. So the rest of the parliament think it's okay for, to adopt a policy that Dr. Mengele would have been happy with, that the government has the right to enforce medical intervention on people without their consent. So, but Starmer's Labour won't have those liberty-loving sovereigntist MPs. So and the massive majority, we are in big trouble if Labour get in. And I think what's going to happen is people will wake up pretty soon as they push forward with the Great Reset agenda, and people start protesting. There's going to be more and more protests, more and more demonstrations, more and more tax protests, and more civil unrest. And that will be met by increasing authoritarianism. And one of the things that this Tory government has started, and the Labour government will accelerate, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. What's with a biometric digital ID? And Tony Blair wanted to bring in an ID when he was prime minister.
Sure.
And the whole lockdown episode introduced the notion of QR codes to get around the city, get around life and everything. So that we'll need to use the ID to get through low traffic networks, to go from this area to that area, and they'll be able to see and monitor everything. What's the party's position on central bank digital currencies?
You see, it's very complex. Number one, let me tell you one point here. As we had 5 prime ministers over just 2-3 years, Labour Party going to lead now, for sure. Keir Starmer is going to lead, but his own team going to kick him very soon. And we are going to face another 4 or 5 new prime ministers within the Labour Party over the next 2-3 years. The same, this is very important point. Don't believe that Keir Starmer going to stay there for another 5 years. No,
No.
he's the next victim of his own party. And then someone will come, and then few months collapse, someone else coming. So this is the reason why we are facing chaos. This is the reason why I'm telling the people from now, don't vote Labour, because we are going to face another chaos for the next 2-3 years till another major election will come sooner than we think, because people, as you said, they are very angry. We're facing disaster in the country. We are facing chaos. Myself, I said in one of my radio interviews, I said, by September to November, we are going to face new riots here in the country. We're going to face disaster. Also, to introduce this IQ, what we call it, a way of ID for people to move around and to buy their stuff, is really dangerous. We got in the country hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants without any documents. Mm-hmm. And they are just walking around. They are trying to survive. They would like to walk from place to place. And this is the reason why we have to review everything, find out these people, give them a way of ID, and find them and help them to survive. They are already here. If we don't do that, they are going to be criminals. We are pushing them to be criminals to survive. So we have to identify them, find them, give them illegal documents, and find out their correct numbers, and then be sure that they have treatment, psychological treatment, mental treatment as well, and jobs to survive, to eat. But if we start to use an ID and a special, device under their skin, this is a horrible thing. We're going to destroy the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I think they're bringing in all these WEF controlled countries that do have open borders, because it creates conflict over resources. It destroys local culture and tradition and religion. And people without tradition and religion are easy to control. And it's another argument for why we need to have personal biometric digital IDs. And then they bring in CBDCs by putting in a wallet with the ID. And then a CBDC, everything is controlled. They know what I'm spending my money on. They can stop me from spending money on certain things. It's techno-feudal serfdom. But what is the party's position on CBDCs? Will you stop the project? Will you continue developing them?
Yeah, we should not, to be honest, anything can affect our community in a bad way. We should review it. And this is the reason why here in our party, we have very clear point about the new technology coming to the market. We should review it. And in each process, we have to review it before we go ahead with second level. We need a new technology to communicate. We need a new technology for our safety and to stop the crimes and to find out who's struggling in the community and help him more than the other people, and who's pretending and abusing the system, and who's pretending that he's on sick leave and he's just enjoying holidays abroad. So we need to find a way how we can more help the community and each one. At the same time, about the digital currency, you mentioned about digital currency here.
The central bank digital currency. Yeah, a centralized digital currency.
We should have our own system of that, to be honest. Myself, I used to deal with the Bitcoins, and I went down to Zug in Switzerland to understand their system and how the people use the Bitcoins and Satoshi to pay the council, the municipalities, their fees to the government. So they have a system. At the same time, we people lost their trust on the dollars, for example. And American dollars is not trustful anymore. And this is the reason why Saudi Arabia and UAE stopped using the US dollar for their oil trade. And the Chinese started this before them. So we need a new way of using the money, which digital currency is one of them, to be honest.
Yes.
And we need to...
But Khalid, there's a big difference between a central bank digital currency and Bitcoin, which is a decentralized... central bank digital currency is centralized and controlled, like Ethereum. That I can see everything that you're doing. I control it. I can program it. Right.
No one should know what I'm doing. Yes. My private life is my private life. My family private life is my family private life. I don't want anyone to monitor my daughter or my son
or your purchases.
Exactly, or my patient. Then this is against the law. And here we have to stand as a party as well with the community, with the people, to protect their freedom of speech, to protect their freedom of life and their choice within the law. And if you are obeying the law, here we are. Why I need to control you and control your pocket, wallet, and all your money? and income outcome. This is dangerous. This is against the human
Absolutely.
rights.
Yes, absolutely dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish up?
I would like really the people to vote, Khaled, vote Workers' Party to stop the chaos. As I said, you will have Keir Starmer as Prime Minister soon, but this is the start of a new era of chaos for another few years till you will realize, oh, we made a mistake. Let's start fix the mistake from now. The same I'm telling my patients, don't use poisons or drugs or stuff because you will end getting diseases or cancer. Let's stop it from now. Go for healthy food, go for organic food, and a healthy lifestyle from now. We are the healthy lifestyle for the people, the citizens.
Yes, well, you certainly look healthy. One of the and I've seen doctors who don't look so healthy, right? So that's great, right?
No,
So
I go to the gym alone. I got my trainer Steve from the David Lloyd. I met him yesterday. I always go to the gym 3 times a week. This is myself. I'm the only candidate, by the way. It's a very good point. Thank you. I'm the only candidate standing with the sport community. Believe it or not, I'm asking allowance for the sport community, for the people, because I'm oncologist. I prescribe sport for my patients. How I can prescribe something they are not able to do because expensive clothes, expensive shoes, expensive gym membership, expensive healthy diet. So I'm anti-VAT and tax against the healthy diet and vitamins. I'm the one who was asking to give the allowance, the only candidate in UK history asking allowance for the sport equipments for the sport community. The same like engineers and doctors, we have a stethoscope allowed, and we can take the money back from the tax, or the engineer, his helmet or his shoes. We should support the sports community, and this is how we can survive and reduce the diseases and pressure to the health sector.
yes, very good, very good. Thank you, Khalid. That's inspiring. Just so you know, doctor, I do strength training, I do swimming, I do cycling, and I get as much sunshine as I can without sunscreen. Right.
Amazing.
If I told you my vitamin D levels, I might afterwards, you'll be shocked. Okay.
We all face from a vitamin D deficiency, by the way. I'm one of the victims of vitamin D.
Oh,
And
well, I'll tell you, last time I had mine checked, uh, I think it was in March or February, purely from sunshine, not from anything else. Uh, Over 300 nanomoles per milliliter,
well done, you.
which is higher than or as high as hunter-gatherer levels. Not bad for someone who works as a social worker in Southern England.
This is why
Okay.
you look amazing. You are very healthy. You look brilliant.
Thank you,
And
thank you, thank you. So look, here's what I would say to people. Khalid, thank you so much. I'll have the links to your Twitter and to your campaign page from the Workers' Party in the description below. And I would say to people, if you are a voter in Britain, please, 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 I suggest, I invite you not to vote for any of the WEF control parties, which is the Labour Party, the Tories, SNP if you're in Scotland, Lib Dems, Green Party. They are all part and parcel captured by the World Economic Forum. That's why there's no real significant difference in any of their policies. So I would invite you to vote for, if I had a Workers' Party candidate or a Heritage Party candidate, where I live, I'd vote for one of them. Otherwise, it'd be Reform or an independent candidate, an anti-war, pro-liberty, anti-CBDC. CBDC is going to be the worst thing ever for us. One of those. And if you're not in the UK, please pass this video on to somebody else. Even if you're in the UK, please share this video. And maybe one day, Khalid, as you're an MP, you can come back on and we can talk all sorts of things about politics and finance. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with freedom. This is Crypto Khalid, but he's never been called that before. And Crypto Rich signing out. All the best. Bye bye.
bye bye.